Okay, account ownership. So the individual accounts are solely owned by one person who has control over those assets. Um, they may have a payable and death designation that will specify who will receive it in the event of your death. That person doesn't have any rights to the asset as long as the owner is alive. Um, the joint accounts, so with survivorship, um, so for example, joint tenancy with right of survivorship. So for example, a husband and wife would own the asset, and if one of them passed, they would receive the account. Um, the other Another type of ownership is tenancy in common. So the so in this case, if it was a husband and wife, the co-owners each have a specific share of the ownership. So a lot of times that's 50%. And so what the way that so in a blended family, a couple could have children from a prior marriage, and they would want their assets to go to their children. So you would use tenancy in common to facilitate that. So when if the husband passed, then his share would go to his children. So, um, the so tenancy entirety is only available to married couples. Each owner owns an undivided interest in the asset, but neither can transfer their interest in the property without the consent of the other party. So, concept checks. So, explain why correctly owning assets is important to the personal finances of people, especially couples. So we've talked about um, joint tenancy, where with right of survivorship, where the assets would go to the spouse. So, for example, if you were a blended family and you wanted the money to go to your children from a prior marriage, you would not want that to be the case. You would choose tenancy in common and specify who the money was to go to, or that it was to go to your children. So, all right. So next, electronic money management. Electronic money management occurs whenever transactions are conducted without using paper documents, which is more and more common today. It's checks are becoming more and more rare. They I don't I very rarely write a check. Most electronic money management occurs with the use of electronic funds transfer. For example, I pay most of my bills with uh, if institution allows, I'll pay with, and they don't charge a fee, I will pay with a check. If they charge a fee for credit card, I mean, sorry, pay with credit card if they allow it, because you get points and so forth. If they do charge a fee for credit cards, then I'll have it set it up where it's drawn out of my checking account. So, so lots of different kinds of cards that we can use. That I'm sure we don't probably have. This is not an exhaustive list, but electronic card money management cards include ATM cards, debit cards, prepaid cards. So prepaid cards, you send money to the financial institution, and then you pay it down. Stored value cards are kind of similar. Regular credit card, it's you're effectively borrowing money from the institution. There's key fobs, smart cards, the electronic benefit cards. You can put your cards into your iPhone and so forth. So the uh, liability limits for lost or stolen cards. The your liability limit for lost or stolen cards. Loss is limited to $50 if the institution is notified of the loss or theft within 2 business days of your knowledge of the theft or loss. So they're going to assume that's why you need to review your statements, because if you received a statement, they're going to assume that you looked at it. You want to check those quickly. Loss could be up to $500 if the institution is notified of the loss or theft between 3 and 59 days of your knowledge. So, okay. Next, we're going to talk about errors on statements.